I have never experienced what I have experienced last night with my husband. Now, I have been in a place that I've experienced a whole lot of new in my life, okay? I've gone through all the pivots, all the rebrands, all the transitions. And one thing that I realize is that when you are married with children, when you are like deeply integrated into a family or into a village or into a community, one of the things that is not talked about enough is that you will go through significantly more transitions and have to be significantly more adaptable and flexible than when you are just walking out life on your own. And here's why. Every time that you are in a transition, you are impacting everybody else around you. You are quite actually influencing the energy, the atmosphere, and the experiences of everybody else around you. So as you are going through your own evolution, everybody else is going through their own experience of your evolution and how that is impacting their life. So when you have a husband and you have kids, or you're married, or you're in a family unit, not only are you experiencing the transition and the energy shifts of yourself, but you also are adapting to the transitions and energy shifts of every person around you. Every time my husband goes through a transition or an identity shift, every time my children go through a transition, and with children, the transition could literally be as inevitable as a growth spurt. It could literally be just my son teething. So that means now that I'm here, not only moving through the transitions of being an entrepreneur, walking by faith, but I'm also moving through the transitions of my family, walking through that experience with me, my community, my village, my church, my friendships. To say that I found myself in this place where I've literally not experienced these emotions before in a transition, I am shocked that I have come to this place. I didn't even realize, it didn't even comprehend in my mind that this was even possible. It wasn't even an option that I could feel the kinds of emotions that I was feeling last night. And for the first time last night, I have found myself in the position in my entrepreneurial journey where I was literally looking at my circumstances, at my current situation, and the outcomes that I desire to co-create with God, and really feel like they are not possible. I am the girl who talks about expanding what's possible. I'm the girl who talks about normalizing the extraordinary. And yet still, in the place that I'm in right now, I'm looking at my circumstances and I'm like, God, I have never seen this done before. I don't know any other woman. I don't know any other mother and wife who's working with what I have to work with right now, the time that I have to work with, the resources that I have to work with, who's accomplishing at the level that I desire to accomplish at. I see this vision of where God is calling me to, and I'm looking at my circumstances, and for the first time in my entrepreneurial journey, it quite actually feels impossible. And I remember I was talking to my husband about this last night, and I was sharing with him, like, babe, like, I feel so overwhelmed. My mom comes, and I'm so thankful for my mom. She's really held it down in this season where, like, even in the times where my childcare has shifted and we moved far away from our babysitter and a whole bunch of financial shifts and things like that, we're just having an in-home nanny is just not an ideal option for us at this moment. And I refuse to put my kids in a daycare, and I homeschool them. So taking on this commitment, this conviction around homeschooling my children and trying to build the business, but not having daily support to manage both the home and the business, it has really stretched my capacity. It's stretched my faith in ways that, especially now that I have a newborn, I have a 4-month-old, it stretched my capacity in ways that, like, I didn't realize could be stretched. I didn't realize how much that this season of life would stretch me. And when I prepared for this season, because I prepared to have this baby, I knew all of these shifts were coming. Even in all of my preparation, I couldn't have prepared for what I would actively go through and experience. I couldn't have prepared for the emotions that would come. I couldn't have prepared for the doubt or the uncertainty or all of the things inside of me that would be exposed when face to face with this, what feels like a very impossible situation. And I'm constantly having to ask myself, like, okay, between this business and building this business and scaling this business and building this brand and also stewarding my home, is this even something that I could do? Am I able to do both? And for a long time, I preached this message of not having to compromise on family, on motherhood, and your career. And in this very moment, I'm questioning, God, are you asking me to lay one down because I only have so much to give and I can't give my all to both? So what am I meant to do in the season when I have this thing that I have started? I have this thing that I've started that I'm now so in so deep at that, like, there's no part of me that feels convicted to pull back. There's no part of me that feels convicted to lay it down. And what ended up happening is, as I'm sharing all of these feelings with my husband, I tell him for the first time, I'm looking at this situation and I'm looking at what's required of me, at what I think is required of me. And I actually do not know if I have what it takes. I don't know if I have what's required of me to build both well, to build both with excellence, to do what I got to do, to be a good steward, to be faithful at the things that God has placed in my hands. And I relaunched, and I remember I had this conversation online. If you've seen my previous videos or if you've listened to my previous podcast, I shared about the wrestling that I had about relaunching and if I was really meant to lay down the business for this season, because what was being required of me is to go deeper into my home and to really carry the mantle of motherhood deeper and the mantle of my marriage deeper with more ferocity, with more wisdom, with more intention than I have when my attention was in building the business. And in that wrestling, I decided to continue to move forward. And I realized that building in this season had to look different. And I remember, like, in that decision, there was a moment in time where I experienced peace around the idea of letting go of my business for right now. And I remember I grieved and I experienced peace, like, Lord, if this is your will, then let it be done. Let me not be out of alignment. Let me not choose this if this is not for me, you know? And there was a moment in time where I had that decision. And last night, as I'm talking to my husband, I'm like, dang, babe, I really, like, there's a part of me that regrets relaunching. There's a part of me that knows that if I were to throw in the towel, I should have thrown it out. I should have thrown in the towel during that moment in time. I should have never relaunched. I should have just taken a step back and just focused on being a mom and taking care of the home and just letting you figure everything else out. And now that I'm here, 4 months later, I'm in too deep. My opportunity to throw in the towel has passed. And now that I'm here, I gotta follow through. There is just a thread of faith in me, which is enough. There's just a mustard seed of faith that is enough for me to keep going and to stay faithful. But what I'm actually feeling right now is that it's not possible. I stayed up for a few hours after that. And I realized, like, I've been staying up so late at night. And I'm just giving y'all the real deal of what it looks like. So many people ask me, like, what does your day-to-day actually look like? How do you manage it all? And the truth about this season is that it's looked like something it's never looked like before. And like, but the commitment, like, what it has produced is like this undauntedness. Like, my word of the season is undaunted. It has produced this undaunted commitment where it's like, you know what? It's going to take a lot of work. And I'm going to have to stay up late, but I will do whatever it takes to just follow through and be faithful. And I'm going to do my part. And I'm going to continue to be diligent in the work of my hands. And Lord, if this is not for me, stop me in my tracks and redirect me to something that you are calling me to be more faithful in than this. If this is not for me, then you're going to have to redirect me. You're going to have to lead me. You're going to have to show me. You're going to have to speak, because I'm going to continue by faith to building this thing, because I believe that this is where you're calling me. So if this is your will, Lord, I will follow you. But if it is not, I need your help in redirecting me. Give me the wisdom to see. Give me the wisdom to follow your voice and to hear your voice and to follow it and to heed your instruction. So now I'm in this place, right? Now I'm in this place where I am navigating this really real duality. And I stayed up until 3 a.m. last night because I'm like, you know what? I feel all of these things and I'm looking at it and it's impossible. So all this shows me is that God is going to have to do his part. Like, Lord, if this is, you're gonna have to show up. You're gonna have to do your thing. You're gonna have to part the Red Sea on my behalf and make a way where there is no way, because that is who you are. So if this is what it looks like in this season to expand my ability to imagine what's possible for me, then I may have to pioneer the possibility here. And so here's my encouragement to myself and to some of you. If you also find yourself in a similar place where you are up against, you're between a wall and a hard place. You're between a mountain and a sea. And there is no way out. And you have nowhere to go. And you believe that by faith, God has led you here. For a long time, I have thought that the only way to expand your ability to imagine was by exposing yourself to other stories, to other people who have done what you've done. But I realized that being a pioneer is not always that. Sometimes being a pioneer does not come with the privilege of somebody walking a path before you and showing you what's possible. Sometimes being a pioneer for something that you have not seen before is you actually paving the way by the grace of God to actually create new possibilities, to allow God to use you as the very example that you wish that you had. I still believe in having really powerful rooms and the power of exposure and the power of community. But I also believe that there are some people who are called to a path that has not been paved before. Now, there is nothing new under the sun. There's nothing new under the sun. But everything that I have been fed up to this point shows me that the circumstances that I'm looking at is not possible. Everything that I've been fed before, every coach that I've ever worked with that has ever accomplished something extraordinary, every book I've ever read gives me the evidence that what I'm looking at and the circumstances that I'm faced with are simply just not possible. And so here's what I realized in this season is that self-sabotage, when you are walking in a wilderness that looks impossible and uncertain, is so real. And self-sabotage is simply maybe two even worthy values to have that conflict with each other. And it's always in the very hidden beliefs. And there's this belief that I have that I need more time in order to accomplish this goal. There's this belief that I have been confronted with where it looks impossible because what I actually think it requires of me to be a good mom and to be a good business owner and a good steward is more time. And here's the challenge that I am being faced with now is that I don't need more time. Time is not what determines my ability to steward my business and my family. Time is not what is required of me. Obedience is, faithfulness is, focus is, understanding and wisdom is, faith is, love is, grace is, but time is not my business. I named my son Amari Kairos when he was born, and I told myself, you know what, 2026 is the year. This is gonna be the year of fulfillment. This is going to be the year of fulfilled promises. And 2026 has not looked like anything that I thought it would when I received a word, a fulfilled promise, a fulfillment. And when I named my son, I named him Amari Kairos, which means Amari means God declared, God said, which is a reflection of his promises, because God's word, what he speaks is, and every word that he has spoken is a promise. Every word that he has spoken is truth, right? And his middle name is Kairos, which is an appointed time, divine timing. And Kairos is beautiful because what it speaks is that not only is there an appointed time that God speaks and he declares, but there's also an appointed time that he fulfills his promises. That God may speak a word in one moment, but he fulfills it in another. And all of it is in his divine timing. All of it is through the lens of his sovereignty and his goodness and his mercy and his perfect and complete plans for us. But Kairos also alludes to a response. A response is prompted. It's an opportune moment that prompts a response from God's people. So every time that Kairos is used, it is an appointed timing, but it's an opportune timing to capture the moment and to respond to the prompting of God. And where I find myself now as I navigate my own disbelief is that this right here and right now is my opportune moment to respond. That there is an appointment attached to my disappointment. Ooh, a word. That the moment in time that I am experiencing disappointment because I am being faithful, God, I am following your steps. I'm praying. I'm doing the work. I am staying diligent. I am enduring. I'm encouraging myself up in the Lord. I'm undaunted in my pursuit of your will, of heaven on earth, of allowing you to refine me and reform my heart. God, I give myself to you completely and fully. Purify me, Lord. Search my heart. And yet still, I'm disappointed. Because I feel like I'm doing everything that I possibly could. And I feel like I'm being faithful, but I don't know. Am I missing something? Where are you? You're calling me to this place and I'm faithfully pursuing you. But what happens when it's not fear that's the giant that I face in this season? What happens when it's disappointment? I really believe that there's two kinds of giants that God has showed me in my journey. And the first giant is fear. Not moving forward because you're afraid of the outcome. But then the second giant that's so much more complex, it's so much sneakier, is the giant of disappointment. And the disappointment is not the same as fear because I didn't move out of fear. I moved faithfully, right? I moved filled with faith. But now I'm being faithful and I'm disappointed because what I expected God to do, he didn't actually do. And God's not showing up in the way that I thought that he would. And even in the midst of disappointment, what I am receiving and choosing to believe that even disappointment can be an appointment. I have to look up what disappointment actually means. Wow. The etymology of disappointment quite actually means missed appointment, a missed commitment, a missed appointment. What a lie from the enemy. Like what a lie, what the lie of disappointment is. And like what a rewrite, what a reframe to recognize that any moment that you are experiencing disappointment in of itself is actually an appointment. Not only an appointment, but it is a Kairos moment. It is a divine appointment that's prompting a response from what's taking place. So if you're listening and watching this is me quite actually encouraging myself in the Lord. Praying, hoping, believing that as I encourage myself in the Lord for my own season, that somebody listening and hearing and watching this right now is also being encouraged in the process. God did not miss his appointment. But sometimes our disappointment may tempt us to miss ours. God is not missing the appointed time that he intends to work through you. But our disappointment may be us choosing to not see or not acknowledge. It may be us blinded to the appointment that is right in front of us. Do not allow disappointment to cause you to miss the appointed time. And God is prompting a new response in you. This is an appointed moment. And what I am remembering, gosh, where's my Bible? I'm going to take out my Bible right now. The other night when I was feeling very similar things and I was asking the Lord, like, I need some encouragement here. And I was woken up at like 5 a.m. for like 2 or 3 days in a row with very specific scriptures on my heart. Scriptures I had memorized that I didn't know. And Psalms 4 is one of them. And all I have been doing is kind of just meditating on it. And I'm going to read it to you right now. Answer me when I call. Answer me when I call, O God of my righteousness. You have given me relief when I was in distress. Be gracious to me and hear my prayer. O men, how long shall my honor be turned into shame? How long will you love vain words and seek after lies? But know that the Lord has set apart the godly for himself. The Lord hears when I call to him. Be angry and do not sin. Ponder in your own hearts on your beds and be silent. Offer right sacrifices and put your trust in the Lord. There are many who say, who will show us some good. Lift up the light of your face upon us, O Lord. You have put more joy in my heart than they have when the grain and wine abound. In peace I will both lie down and sleep. For you alone, O Lord, make me dwell in safety. In peace I will both lie down and sleep. For you alone, O Lord, make me dwell in safety. You have put more joy in my heart than they have when their grain and wine abound. Oh my gosh, there is so much. I really wish that I could unpack this. And you know what? Maybe I'll make another video like fully unpacking Psalms 4. But here's what I hear in this, right? David is in a moment of this very dual experience where he is both experiencing lament and confidence in God. And he's writing this psalm, right? Almost this song, this poem of like, answer me, O God, of my righteousness. Answer me when I call. And I have found myself in this season of navigating and battling and overcoming disappointment, experiencing very similar things. Answer me, God, when I call. You have already, I've seen you and I've experienced you give me relief when I was in distress. I've experienced your graciousness. Be gracious to me, God. Hear my prayer. Are you there? Where are you? How long? How long will I be here? But I'm encouraging myself. I'm choosing to believe and I'm choosing to remember the truth and the experiences and the evidence that you are a faithful God who shows up. The Lord has set apart the godly for himself, and the Lord hears when I call to him. I can trust that the Lord responds to my prayers, that the Lord does respond to my prayers. But the godly, the Hebrew word to the godly, is related to the Hebrew word for steadfast love. Thus, the godly are those who have sincerely responded to God's steadfast love. Here is what my prayers reveal about me. Here is what your prayers reveal about you. Here is what your story, your beliefs, your narratives, your decisions reveal about you. We have an opportunity in the midst of our disappointment. We have an opportunity to either respond to our circumstances, to the torment, to the attack of the enemy, to the situations that feel impossible, that may feel unfamiliar, that may feel uncertain, or we have an opportunity to respond to God's steadfast love. To be set apart. The Lord has set apart. He has consecrated. He has made holy. He has differentiated. He has set apart the anomalies of this world, the exceptions to the rule, the pioneers who are paving paths that are unlikely and unconventional and unfamiliar to the rest of this world. He has set apart the godly, those who respond to his steadfast love for himself. In the midst of disappointment, the Kairos moment is our ability to respond to the opportune time to his steadfast love. There is an opportunity that I believe that both the Lord is aware of and prompting and bringing up on the inside of us, but the enemy is also aware. The enemy is also aware of the opportune moments. And just like him, just like scripture tells us that he's prowling, waiting for a moment of vulnerability. And usually that moment of vulnerability is the very moment right before God intends to break through. It is the pressure. It is the most intense pressure before the diamond is formed. It is the fire purifying the gold. Did you know that there are some seeds that can only be released by fire? That there are some seeds that can only sprout through fire, through intense and targeted heat. I went to go see the sequoias with my kids the other day. The sequoia tree is the largest living thing on earth. It is huge. Tallest trees in the world, taller than some skyscrapers, taller than some of the tallest buildings in the world, are the giant sequoia. These big, majestic, beautiful beasts of the forest come from this tiny seed. And the tiny little sequoia seed is serotinous, which means that it's in this little pine cone that has a resin over it that is hardened. That means that those seeds can lay dormant for decades, waiting for a moment that they cannot control themselves. What the sequoia seeds need to release, they need targeted, intense heat that in nature is only found in wildfires. Wildfires. There are two things that happen. One, the fire melts the resin that releases the seeds. And two, the fire prepares the soil, clearing away any debris, any dry fig leaves, any other plant life that could compete with the seed's ability to thrive. Isn't that amazing? That the greatest, biggest living things on the earth come from a seed that can only be released by fire. Fire that is activated and triggers an opportune moment in time that can only exist by the intensity of the fire. And how this encourages me in this season is that sometimes the disappointment that we're experiencing is the very refining fire, the very intensity, the very pressure required for the seeds, the giant purpose-filled seeds on the inside of us to be released too. And I believe that there are women who are listening to this right now, who are watching this right now, who also have giant-sized purpose still in the form of seeds that have maybe been dormant for a long time. But just like the DNA of a butterfly has always existed on the inside of a caterpillar, the DNA of a giant also lives on the inside of you. And the fire that you are experiencing right now, the disappointment you're experiencing right now, I just want to activate somebody's faith. I just want to wake up another level of faith in those who are hearing my voice right now. The word of the season is undaunted. Undaunted, unshaken by the fire, by the storms, by the trembling, by the uncertainty, by the work, by the resilience, by the endurance required to see through the promise fulfilled in your life. It looks impossible because doing it on your own, it is. But all things are made possible through Christ who strengthens me. Somebody needs to remind themselves that the strength that they are leaning on is not their own. The resources they are depending on is not their own. You got a God, you have a heavenly Father who does not have a budget, who lacks no resource. As far as you can see, what would happen if you knew that as far as your eyes could see, as far as your mind could possibly imagine, those resources could actually be available to you? Your circumstances may look scarce, but your God is not. My ultimate intention in this lifetime is heaven on earth. And here's the thing about heaven on earth that I'm realizing more and more and deeper as I continue to walk with God. Heaven on earth is not a moment in time. It's not something that I simply create. It is a person that I become. It is God with me, in me, through me, for me. It is the God, the living God that lives on the inside of me that allows me to create. Heaven also looks like a seed. It looks like a seed, which means that I carry seeds that carry the DNA of heaven on the inside of me, that I have seeds that are quite actually an extension of my Creator and my Father, that when I have the faith to sow them, that in due season, we will reap. But everywhere that I go, everywhere that I walk, heaven walks with me. What would happen to our circumstances? What would happen to our disappointment? How would something shift in our hearts and our minds if we knew that heaven on earth is not simply what I create? but it's also who I become through the Christ who lives on the inside of me. If you are watching this, what this simply is me documenting in real time what this looks like for me. It's me walking out this faith in real time. It's me experiencing this journey in real time. I have no idea what I am doing. Oh my God. But I know that the one who is with me, the one who calls me, is all that I need. I have heaven backing me up wherever I go. And so if you're watching this right now, what you saw in real time is not just an encouragement that I have for you. It's also me actively encouraging myself in the Lord. And I believe in this season. So if you are wanting to see more, if you are wanting to walk this thing out together, I desire to create a community of women who are really ready not only to be undaunted in their pursuit, but unapologetic about how authentic we are willing to be about the story. And for a long time, I have positioned myself with a kind of authority that didn't allow for me to be raw and transparent about what it actually looks like to walk in faith. And I believe that there is a refreshing, just breath of fresh air. There is just this breathing room that gets to be created in this space when what we see on Instagram, what we hear in podcasts and on YouTube videos from women that we admire, that we see, that inspire us, actually look a lot more like us than we think. If it is possible for me, if God can do it through me, he can also do it through you. And yet still, sometimes he will call you to the impossible, but just know if he calls you, he also strengthens you.